Namah Shreyati-Rajaya Vivekananda-Suraye Satchit-Sukha-Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine Swamine Tapaharine.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, namaste.
Sir, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
Actually, since these are basic things, I just wanted to confirm once again, sir. So, three doshas,
Yes.
Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So, what I have understood is, like, so there is a natural balance of doshas in the body.
Yes.
Certain organs have specifically more of one dosha. That is natural for that.
Yes.
So, this equilibrium is disturbed by various ways, like desha, kala, and also lifestyle. What we eat, our lives, our routine, everything. It keeps on like the equilibrium will be disturbed by this, but
Yes.
natural healing process takes care of it.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah. So, in the process, like when there is more pitta, maybe kapha tries to balance it out. Is it? Is it so? More of kapha comes so that.
They are mutually balancing. It is not one over. This is just, fluctuation of the gunas. Kapha is doing it because nature changes are happening. Actually, it is nature that is, because, as kapha increases, the sun increases. Then because of the heat, pitta will increase. As pitta increases, the sun will go down, and so the heat comes down, then pitta comes down. As it gets cold after pitta, vata will increase. As vata increases, gradually the nature becomes more humid and cool in the night. So kapha will again start increasing. So it is like the doshas are being pulled by the strings of these natural changes. That is why we say if seasons deranged, if nature is not functioning properly, then it is very difficult to keep the doshas in balance. That is why Kala is considered to be one of the factors for disease. So not only should the natural rhythms happen correctly, our actions should also be in harmony with these natural rhythms. Otherwise, there will be disturbance.
Yeah.
So any increase of fluctuation of the doshas that cannot be compensated by these natural mechanisms will lay the seed for disease. So two things are of reason here. One is the derangement of nature. So when seasons change, when day and night things happen in an unnatural way, then the harmony of the doshas is disturbed. Second thing is human action. Our actions which are not in harmony with nature will lead to doshas. When it increases, it's not able to come back again. So increase is part of the normal physiology. So in modern physiology, we talk about feedback mechanisms. So it is a shift from the negative feedback mechanisms break down. When a positive feedback is established, then the doshas will go into perpetual imbalance and then it will start creating problems. So these are negative and positive feedback loops. Normal physiology, everything is designed to work like a negative feedback loop. When one thing increases, something else will come, will stop, and then the other will increase. This is how it happens continuously.
Okay. So the treatment is like we will be attacking the one trying to reduce whichever is more.
Yes,
Will-
yes. We are trying to restore these negative feedback mechanisms.
Okay.
We are trying to restore that inner physiological mechanisms of the body. We are not interfering. That is the difference in Ayurveda. We are working along with the physiology of the body. So sometimes it takes time. We are not correcting, fixing it from outside. We are fixing it from inside.
Okay. Thank you. So these cancers and all, they're like you said, kapha increases in that at that side. When
So cancer is caused by vata actually.
okay.
Vata then kapha. Vata causes the irritation of the cell,
Mhm.
and cancer. I can explain a little bit because I'm working on that. The cancer comes because of a feeling of threat for the cell. Right? If you are cornered and if somebody is going on threatening you, you feel very alone and isolated. Then what happens? You try to you want to become secure. You want to have a secure feeling. This is what Ayurveda says. This insecurity of the cell, because it is surrounded by carcinogenic material. It is in a very unhealthy environment, threatened by carcinogens. So what happens is there will be a the Ayurveda discusses migraine. Some diseases, these are all chronic, conditions. Very individualized treatment is required. Migraine is a difficult disease to treat. Some people get cured. Some people the severity is reduced significantly. So we cannot consider there is no one single treatment for migraine that you can cure it magically. None of these. It is all about bringing back harmony in Ayurveda. It's not attacking the disease. We are thinking like that today. Anyway, coming back to cancer. So when the cell feels threatened, it is trying to multiply itself. When the cell multiplies itself, this is because of vata, the vatic irritation. In the beginning stage, the cell is actually undergoing what modern science today calls as hyperplasia. It is not yet cancer. The cell is still feeling very insecure. So according to Ayurveda, as the hyperplasia happens, kapha will start cooperating with vata to increase the bulk of the tumor. That is why it grows very slowly because of the influence of kapha. Vata causes the cell division, uncontrolled cell division, and kapha supports it by adding to the bulk, and the tumor slowly grows. This may take 10 to 12 years of subclinical evolution of the disease. As it has,
Benign tumors and all, I think.
yeah, benign tumors also, malignant also takes so much time. What I have read about it before it goes into dysplasia.
Dysplasia.
Yes, dysplasia is that point where pitta now comes into the picture. A tumor becomes aggressive when pitta also comes into the picture. As long as it is vata kapha stage, it is not so aggressive, and that is the best stage to treat cancer. When pitta is aggravated in a tumor, then it becomes dangerous. Then it becomes aggressive, and then it so. According to Ayurveda, radiation and chemotherapy will actually increase pitta. So it has been found also that many tumors become more aggressive after chemotherapy and radiation because they will aggravate pitta again. There was a study in the UK which they found that the aggression of tumor increases after chemotherapy in breast cancer. Breast cancer survivorship is very good when you identify the tumor in the very early stage, when it is still in the Vata Kapha stage, a surgical removal chedana, as Sushruta would call it. And then if you follow it up with little chemo or radiation, it doesn't matter. In the aggressive stage, when you give more chemo and radiation, the tumor tends to become more aggressive. Just like wounding a tiger or... Yes. Mental insecurity also, according to Ayurveda, can lead to cancer. The threatening factors are what modern science calls as uh, carcinogens. In Ayurveda, these factors are having properties opposite to that of ojas. So Ushna Ruksha Guna, substances which are Ushna and Ruksha. Most of the harsh chemicals that we are using today, minute toxins, all these things are having Ushna Ruksha Guna according to Ayurveda. Ushna Ruksha and Tikshna Guna. And they are opposite to ojas. So all the things that are opposite to the ojas of the body, ojas is a topic which we can learn. So stress can also reduce ojas. Anything that reduces ojas in the system or substances which have qualities opposite to that of ojas. Ojas is immediately affected by mental stress. Ojas create somebody's microphone is on. Okay. You can switch it on when asking something. So when ojakshiyeda kopakshu dhyana shoga shramadibhi. Ojas is reduced by shoka, dhyana, kopa, anger, continuous anger. All these things will reduce ojas. Cancer incidence is on the rise. According to Ayurveda, it is both psychological. Yes. So I will come back to your question, Ripi. Let me complete what I'm discussing now. So ojas gives that sense of security, calmness. So if that is why brahmacharyam is considered to be ojasyam. When there is no stress in the mind, there is abundant ojas in the system. In people, there are some pockets in the world where people live very long. Like in India, there is a Hunza Valley. And in Japan, there is a place. In Italy, there is a place where people live very long and they don't have heart disease, they don't have cancer. And gerontologists have gone and studied these. There is a book called Healthy at 100. John Robbins has written this book. He's a gerontologist. So, Healthy at 100 Years. This is the name of the book. John Robbins. It's a very interesting book. And what he said was, what he found was that apart from they had a very robust lifestyle, a diet, all these things mattered. They ate meat moderately, they had fewer meals, they were fasting, they were exercising, walking. But one of the main contributors he found, the gerontologist found, was that they had a stress-free life. They were not stressed like the people in our cities. And second thing is that they never considered old age as a failure. The young, everybody used to add 10 years to their life. If you ask somebody's age, we would like to remain minus 10 years if possible. But they would add 10 years. They would say we are becoming old. So old age was considered to be the the saturation, the pinnacle of life. Everybody wanted to become old and wise, and old people did not have disabilities. They were not maybe as robust as a youngster, but they were still very independent. Their special senses were still functioning. The brain was functioning. They were thin. They were not obese, and they could not only look after themselves but others. So old age people were very respected because they were considered to be very successful. So everybody's goal was to become old. Whereas in modern society, the problem with our society is we don't accept old age. We think aging is a failure. So we want to be young forever. And thereby we don't prepare ourselves for aging. And we crumble and collapse as we age. We are not mentally prepared. According to Ayurveda, old people are the shelter for the world. But today we are building shelters for old people and throwing them there. We had a beautiful system of brahmacharya, garhasthya, vanaprastha and sannyasa. So in old age, people became completely independent. They became wise. They became sannyasis. And they guided the whole society. So they were respected. So it is very, very important that we bring back one of the biggest contributions, in my opinion, that Ayurveda can make is to healthy aging. Dirgham Jividam Anvichan Bharadwaja Upagamat. How can we live long and healthy and become a shelter for the world rather than being sheltered? That is the biggest thing. This today, modern gerontologists are talking about healthy aging or successful aging. At the age when you cross 75, you do not have major health issues. It's very much possible. In these societies who are living a stress-free life and a simple life, simple rules of diet, they eat adequately, and proper exercise, physical activity, they are able to live a full life. Cancer is unknown in the Hunza Valley, for example. They don't have cardiovascular disease, the biggest killers in modern society. So there are big lessons that we have to learn. So that is cancer, hyperplasia, dysplasia, metaplasia. The moment pitta comes into the picture, then the cancer cells begin to become violent, virulent. And then it is now an arbuda, not a granthi. Granthi is a benign tumor. It is just knotted in appearance. Whereas arbuda is arvahimsayam, to kill. And arbudo shatakotishu, that which multiplies into hundreds and crores. So that's the concept of cancer. So in cancer, we need to bring back the ojas of the system. And today, this is very similar to the immunotherapy. In modern system, ojas is related to our immunity, bala. And so immunology is emerging as a new area in the management of cancers, immunotherapy. Maybe with Ayurveda, we can get some good clues of how to improve the natural immunity of the body and help the body identify the cancer and resolve it. So Rippy is asking a question. Many topics are getting modified by commentators. Yeah. Ayurveda, see, the lossless transmission is only the core concepts. I told you Ayurveda has Tattva Shastra and Vyavahara. When Charaka says Trividha Shishya Buddhihidam, he means Buddhimadam tu Swanumana Yukti Kushalanam Anuktartha Jnanaya. Every time Ayurveda is transmitted from one generation to other, it's not just lossless, it is updated and many new things have to be added. That is what the commentators and all have tried to do. We enrich the knowledge and pass it, because, as I told you, the knowledge of Ayurveda in the human mind is incomplete. It is always being enlarged and expanded. Only in nature it is complete and full. With Brahma, it is in its entirety. With us, it is not in its entirety. We can never grasp and remember Ayurveda in its entirety. So, through every time when I study Ayurveda, it is my duty to add something more than what I learned. That is the way I repay. The next generation has to add more. The generation after. So it is not just lossless, it is actually gainful transmission. So there is a gain. Every time the knowledge is transmitted, there is a gain. The core concepts have never changed. So even when Indra taught Padair alpaihi matim buddhva vipulam paramarshe, he taught with a few words only. Only the core concepts were transmitted. So that is the only thing we have to take care, that the core framework is not disturbed. If that is crumbled, then the creativity of Ayurveda will be lost. I hope that is clear.
So one more thing. So about fasting.
Yes.
How does Ayurveda look at fasting? We get so much information on WhatsApp.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
different. So
See, Ayurveda says, that is mentioned, fasting is mentioned in Mahabharata. There is a question, Katham sadopavasi syat. How can one be a perpetual faster? And the answer is by not fasting. You can fast without fasting. So how? So katham sadopavasi syat, brahmachari katham bhaved is the question. So the answer is antara sayamasasya pradarasasya vapuna. If you don't eat anything between the morning and evening meal, if you eat only twice a day, then you are a sadopavasi. So you just need to eat twice a day. Is that clear? So there is no need to, if you are, the fasting is actually, is that if you are eating for your senses, then you have to fast because you are overeating. If you are eating for your body, then there is no need to fast. There is nothing wrong in eating. Eating should become a puja. So everywhere in Ayurveda and in our culture, we have told only moderation in eating. We have never told fasting. Fasting is if you eat more than twice a day, then you have to fast at least once in 2 weeks. If you are eating more than 3 times a day, then you must fast at least once in a week.
actually, like now we have different kinds of fasting, intermittent fasting, and all. So all those things, they won't.
Yeah. Ayurveda says fasting should be according to the constitution of the person, lifestyle, diet. All these are partial truths. You cannot impose any one of them on everybody.
And also, like what a person is as such, he's thin.
Yes.
So
What
if
a
he
person does
fasts,
not
can
mean.
the body take it?
Yeah. No, no. So Ayurveda does not tell everybody to fast similar in a similar way. In fact, I was overweight and I tried fasting, and I at one point I got some anxiety attack also, because this is because of vata increase, and I had to adjust my diet. Too much of fasting is harmful for vata. So we have to do, and fasting is upavasa. Upa means upasamipe vasa, atmani vasa. So upavasa actually means training yourself to be with yourself and not with your senses. So not you eating just for enjoyment, but eating for the body. That is what upavasa actually is. The word upavasa doesn't mean forsaking food. It only means forsaking the craving for food. So once you train yourself out of the craving, you have to really ask, when I am eating, is it necessary to eat now? Does my body really need it? So the main reason for eating is stress. One meal, according to Ayurveda, people who have good mental control need to eat only once. Good mental control. But today we are very stressed. So if you try one meal a day, you will get exhausted mentally and maybe feel mentally sick also. So for yogis, one kala, Sushruta clearly says, one time is enough actually. It is not harmful. It all depends on how. So Ayurveda clearly tells us nityam mitahara vihara sevi samikshakari vishayeshwa shaktah asaktah data sama satyavarakshamavan aptoba sevi cha bhavatya roga. So it is not enough just to abstain from food. Nityam mitahara and vihara, or hitahara and mihara. Samikshakari, you must be very thoughtful in all your action. Vishayeshwa sakta, not attached to sensual pleasures. Data should be a person who is generous. Samaha, equal to everyone. Satyapara, truthful. Shamavan, having enough patience. Aptoba Sevi, following the guidance of authorities. Such a person, Bhavatya Roga, will not get disease. So it is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Natyashnatastu yogosti. Yoga will not succeed for a person who is eating too much. Natyashnatastu yogosti. Nachaikantam anashnataha. If you also completely abstain from food, yoga is a failure. You cannot become a yogi. See, food is a requirement created by nature. We don't have to feel guilty about it. We have to eat. Charaka says, Vaidik laukikam karma yad vrittau, Vaidikam swargadau chayat, karmapavarge yachoktam tachapyanne pradishtidam. Three types of people are there in the world. Three types of people. That is, laukikam karma yad vrittau, the laukikas, who are living for enjoyment. Then the Vaidikas, who are trying to control their senses. And third, Karmapavargis, who have gone beyond all this. Only three types of people are there even today. If you look at a patient, I always try to use this classification. Is my patient a Laukika? Then too much of restrictions will not work in them. They want quick. Sometimes such people, I refer them to modern medicine also. Said, you please go and take a painkiller and be happy. Don't come to Ayurveda. Because they will not be able to do all the difficult things. A Vaidika is a person who wants to change, who wants to come to a healthy lifestyle. And so such people only you can treat with Ayurveda. Laukikas, you cannot treat. I'm not degrading modern medicine, but modern medicine is a big benefit because it's a Laukika culture. We need modern medicine. People don't have that ability to withstand suffering. Ayurveda is also for spiritual evolution. So the healing is also a discipline. Today, majority of the people are leading a Laukika life. That is why modern medicine has been discovered also. It is not wrong. See, majority of the people today, they are struggling to make a living. And if you put them on Ayurveda Panchakarma regimen, 3 months they cannot work. What will you do? How is it practical? It's not practical. So I have tried telling this to many of my patients. They said, sir, our question is, it's either survival with, or either die with the disease, or die with our treatment. They have no choice. They have to earn. So these kind of, see, we need all systems of medicine in this world. But as the society becomes more spiritual, then there will be more and more use of Ayurveda. Ayurveda helps the individual to discipline, come out, establish a healthy life, which we cannot do in majority of the population today. In India, a country like, if you go to Mumbai, you can see how people are traveling 3 hours, 4 hours. And if I tell them morning you wake up and do this dara, this, they will say we are in the train 4 hours, we are chopping our vegetables in the train. There are people who sit and chop vegetables in the train. I have seen that. How will they cure themselves? So for them, these medicines are helpful. The quick acting medicines are helpful. So laukikam karma yad vrittav. Yad vrittav means they are just surviving. Yes, repeat. You have to find out why you are eating more. Is it because of pitta? Is it because of your stress? You have to find that out. Majority of the time, it is stress eating today. We don't know what to do. After a time, we get stressed and we need to put something in our mouth. And we don't care whether it is healthy or whether it will harm. And most of the people, and people today, they produce food to sell it, not for anybody's health. Traditional foods were discovered for healthy living. Modern food industry is there to make money. They want you to buy more and more of all the foods that are there. So it's not going to help. And you get anything anytime you want. This is adding to the problem.
One more thing I heard is like Lankanam Paramaushadam. That
Yeah.
that statement is it true? Is it there? Then where
Yes,
is it
yes.
applied?
Lankana, if everything is, Brahmanam is also uh, very, very important.
What is Brahmanam?
Brahmanam is nourishment.
Nourishment.
So nothing is nothing is absolute in Ayurveda. In that context, Lankanam Paramaushadam may be mentioned. Another concept, Brahmanam. Brahmanam Deepanam Chagne Srodasham Cha Vishodanam. This is a treatment in Rajakshma, in diseases where wasting is. So we have to balance Lankana and Brahmana always. If Lankana was the ultimate thing, then we could go on a fasting spree. Everybody can commit suicide by not taking food. That is not what Ayurveda says. We should have meals in the Kala, Ahara Kala. Kalam Kale Hitam Mitam Bhunjyat. At the time, correct time, Hitam Mitam Bhunjyat. What is Hitam and Mitam should be taken. Hitashi Syat, Mitashi Syat. Kalabhoji Jitendriya. This is the advice given. Hitashi Syat. Eat only what is Hitam. Mitashi Syat. Eat only in limited quantity. Don't eat more than half of your stomach. That is clearly the advice. Hitashi, Mitashi. And then Kalabhoji, eat at the right time. Jitendriya, be in control of your senses. Don't get excited by seeing some food without thinking what it will do to you. So this is the concept. And I just want to say in the WhatsApp there was a message. See, I am unable to respond to many WhatsApp messages because of my schedules. There are many groups in which I am a member, and there is a limited time available to respond. So there was some question about vaccination and COVID. So what a little I know, I would like to share that vaccination. I am not completely against any vaccination, but the way vaccines were developed during COVID is a bit questionable. We were under pressure. Quickly, something had to come. And today, we have a business model. People will manufacture medicines only if there is business in it. Nobody is doing it for free. So, on the one hand, there was commercial angle. There was a big rat race. These big companies thought it is a good opportunity to make money. So they started making vaccines, not to save people, but to make money. The governments were under pressure to bring some solution. Want to psychologically pacify people to say that there is a vaccine was something that made them feel that they are doing something. So that is how the vaccines came, and many questionable technologies which were manipulating genetic material, all that was tried. So the problem with vaccine is that we had a very short time, and before releasing the vaccines, adequate testing could not be done. India denied Pfizer vaccine, Johnson to be accepted here as official vaccines because they did not want to test it on people here. Our government took a strong stance saying that we will not, without a testing, we will not allow it. So for this reason, there is a good chance that vaccines could have caused problems, but we have not yet having enough data. We do not yet enough have data to say what exactly is the problem with vaccine. In a certain percentage of the population, it does seem to have produced problems. I was vaccinated thrice. I have not faced any problem. I've seen a lot of people not having any problem because I was taking Ayurvedic medicines also throughout COVID. I've also seen people after COVID developing certain problems, almost the same problems with the vaccines like blood clotting and all that are seen also in post-COVID people. So which means that the vaccine which is inducing an artificial mild infection and COVID which is also inducing an infection, both are almost causing similar reactions in the body in a group of people who are vulnerable. How much is that percentage? I'm still reading about it. I am not able to get a very clear picture. We don't have enough data, especially in India. We have very less data because the AstraZeneca vaccine, which we used in India, was reported to be associated with clotting in Europe. But in India, we have not reported any cases. Is it because it did not cause clotting, or is it because it did not actually, document it and report it? This is a question. So what I have found is that vaccine or no vaccine, COVID or no COVID, there are certain fundamental principles of good living and supportive care, especially with Ayurveda, that we can take. It has to be done in a customized manner. My 83-year-old mother got COVID twice. She survived without any untoward events, even without any post-COVID problems. We all underwent only Ayurvedic treatment. So I find that many of my other friends who took, even those who took vitamin C and zinc, and many took antibiotics, some took ivermectin, remdesivir, they have all had sometimes unbelievable kind of post-COVID problems. And I understand that in India, a lot of irrational treatment has happened with all systems. In modern medicine also, a lot of unnecessary prescription of antibiotics, use of ivermectin and such things which of doubtful efficacy, HCQS and all that. So looking back, it is a pressure from the pandemic. We cannot always blame everybody. We didn't know what to do, and we have to live with the consequences. So I think in the next months or years, we will get a better picture of what damage has actually been done. The short-term damage we know, the long-term damage we are still understanding. But it is quite clear that a lot of people are getting clotting issues. Many people are getting diabetes after COVID. I have seen so many patients. I've seen one patient who who became paralyzed lower limbs after a dose of vaccine. He came for Ayurvedic treatment. I've seen a few cases like that. Those who had lower limb paralysis, spinal cord problem, damage, directly with the vaccine. And then the doctors themselves advise the person not to do a second vaccine. But I've also seen a lot of people who did not have any problem with vaccine. So we have to understand who are at risk, and what is the benefit of vaccine. The benefit, I'm not sure. Both times when I took vaccine, I got COVID. 2 times. At a time when it was supposed to protect the most. Anyway, it didn't become serious. I don't know whether it was due to the vaccine or due to the Ayurvedic medicines that I took, because we all just wanted to survive at that time somehow. So there is still a lot of gray area. So I'm still in the process of studying and understanding. I've tried to help some people who approached me even during COVID, post-COVID, post-vaccine. But what I found is COVID has taught us that each person is different. That the way we have reacted to the virus is very different. So we have to have an individualized regimen. When the way COVID presented in some people, it did not produce any symptoms. Even without symptoms, some people have had post-COVID issues. Some others who had severe disease have recovered completely. Some others went into severe COVID. And the way COVID has affected people has also been so varied. Some people, a brain is affected, some people diabetes, some people blood pressure, some people. There was one patient who came, he lost his balance. If he stands, he feels dizzy after recovering from COVID. Nobody is able to make out why and how. So the post-COVID syndrome, it's a syndrome, it's very varied. It's not the same, it's not one condition. Some people have a fogginess of the brain. A lot of people have fatigue, unexplained fatigue. So it's not something which can be just discussed remotely and handled. It requires a proper assessment and consultation and individualized management. And it's too early to say exactly whether it's a vaccine or a COVID infection, or is it certain susceptibilities of the individuals that is causing all this. But surely the vaccine has problems. For the record, Ayurveda was one of the earliest systems to bring this concept of inoculation. Just 1 second. Yeah, sorry for that interruption. So I don't think people who did not have vaccine will have any adverse events. See, it was a very difficult time to take decisions. Even I had to take vaccine because of some regulations. To move around in university, to travel, all that it was necessary. I had to travel abroad, and without a vaccine certificate, it was not possible. So we have to adjust to. So I took some Ayurvedic medicines during vaccine also. The Ministry of Ayush was trying ashwagandha along with vaccine to optimize the immune response. So taking medicines which balances the dosha, because a vaccine reaction is also disturbance of the doshas according to Ayurveda. So if you can keep the doshas under control, the vaccine may work in a more optimal manner. So we tried many of those things and still lived with it. I know many of my colleagues succeeded in not doing vaccine, not even wearing masks, Ayurveda doctors, and they never got COVID. They were following the Ayurvedic Dinacharya. I also changed my whole lifestyle during COVID. It was a turning point because I was so busy working and not really taking care. So what I feel is a good lifestyle, good diet, and all this keeps our immune system more robust. Charaka in Janapadodhamsa Adhyaya, he says that when an epidemic comes, what we have to do is to boost the innate immunity. It is an inner vaccine, not a vaccine from outside. So he tells everybody to use the most potent herbs to activate the immune system and to undergo a cleansing of the body before the pandemic becomes spread out. Sthana parityagaha, Shivanam Deshanam Upasevanam, all this is mentioned. Lockdown, moving from pockets of infection to places where you are safe. All these things are described in the Caraka-Saṁhitā. Sir, Ayurvedic Dinacharya is a big topic. If today we may not have time, tomorrow I will give some summary. It actually comes in the next Chatushka of Caraka-Saṁhitā, because there is this will be more useful actually, the Swastha Chatushka, because that gives a lot of advice on what the general public can do to lead a healthy life. Yes, I have a presentation. We'll continue that also tomorrow. So I'll start with it. It's just like a summary. Some of the points that we have to actually keep in mind.
And also Dravyas and Guruvadi Gunas.
No, everything is there.
Okay.
There's a little bit more detail than we discussed yesterday to kind of summarize the whole thing. So, what we are dealing with is the Bheshaja Chatushka. Charaka-Saṁhitā Sutrasthana has 30 chapters, which are divided into quartrets, 7 quartrets of 4 chapters each. And interestingly, Charaka-Saṁhitā starts with Bheshaja or treatment rather than prevention. This is because the text is conveying the idea that, when people are sick, there is no point in talking about prevention. We have to treat them first. So Ayurveda is for the people who have fallen already. Just reaching out to the people who have fallen and telling, first let us, cure the sickness. Not just save the healthy people. Let us save the sick people. That is the idea. That is why it is Bheshaja Chatushka. So 4 chapters are dealing with curative medicine. See, we'll understand that better when we look at the next topics regarding the origin of Ayurveda. The discovery of Ayurveda has happened by reading the book of nature. All these stories are just, symbolic. Where is Ayurveda? It is in nature itself. How do you learn Ayurveda? By reading the book of nature. And how do we read the book of nature? By enhancing our perceptive powers. Indram Ugratapaha Buddhva Sharanyam Amareshwaram. What type of Bharadwaja? Bharadwaja has the qualities of a higher perception. He could read nature because he was a Ugratapaha. Nirganjivida Mannichan Bharadwaja Upagama Indram Ugratapaha Buddhva Sharanyam Amareshwaram. And there are many causes. We did not discuss all this yesterday. Somebody is again annotating. So the desire for longevity, that was what actually motivated Bharadwaja. So desire for longevity was there. In Dirgham Jivida Manvechan, that is why Bharadwaja went. But he was also motivated by Tada Bhudeshu Anukrosham Puriskritya Maharshaya. Because Vigna Bhuda Yada Roga. So Bharadwaja was not yet sick. He didn't go to Indra. His personal interest was to learn how to live longer. So he could have come back and just discussed about how to live longer, give preventive regimens and just forgotten about the sick people. No. But because of compassion, he said, my desire for long life, let us wait. I will explain that later. First, let us cure the people who are already sick. Then only for them there is a meaning in living long. Because once you become healthy, you can think of living long. If you're sick, you won't want to live long. If the sickness is causing much suffering, you might even say, when will this suffering come to an end? Should I die? Then the third reason was that diseases were posing an obstacle to the Purusharthas. So for these three reasons, Ayurveda was discovered. The desire, so we discussed yesterday only one. Tada Bhudeshu Anukroshan. As far as the rishis were concerned, they were interested in long life because they wanted to reach the final goal in one life itself, rather than spend many lives. Or so the dharmartha kama mokshanam arogyam moolam uttamam. Tasmad arogya danena dattam satyat chat tatushtayam. So when you are giving health to a person, you are giving them the purusharthas. So that was the cause for the discovery of Ayurveda. And the transmission of Ayurveda, this we discussed, there's a transmission in nature and transmission in humans. And as far as humans are concerned, codification is necessary for preservation. And humans have to take this effort of building the knowledge of Ayurveda generation by generation. So there's not a question of loss, but it's a demand for gain. Every tradition, every generation that Ayurveda passes, there should be more and more. Yeah, dharmartha kama mokshanam arogyam moolam uttamam. If you do not have arogya, you cannot do dharmartha kama moksha. You cannot attain the purusharthas. You don't have the ability to do that. See, according to Ayurveda and the Indian culture, if you have karma, then you have to try to follow it till you discover that najadu kama kamanam ubabhogena shamyati. The problem with karma is that it will never be fulfilled, it will never be satisfied by enjoying it. It is addictive. So you can never say that, okay, so most people today we will say, let me first enjoy life and then I will come to spirituality. It's never going to happen. If you go behind karma, then you are a kami. Kami for life. Vihaya kaman yas sarvan pumams charate. Nispraha nirahankara sa shanti mathi gacchati. This is what is mentioned in the Gita. Vihaya kaman yas sarvan pumams charati nispraha. So this is the goal, that nisprihatva, nishkamatva has to happen before we can enter the realm of moksha. So what can I do if I am a kami? That is a problem. We are all kamis. Parikshya karmachitan lokan brahmano nirvedamayat. We have to experience and discriminate. Discriminate every time we are enjoying the kama. And how to do that? Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharadarshaka. Krishna says, I am kama, when that kama is not against dharma. So the only thing we can do is to control our kama through the principle of dharma. That is the only way to have kama jaya. So I am no longer impulsive. See, I have a kama, but then I know I have to do some dharma to achieve that kama. So I put the effort. So if to fulfill my kama, I need artha. So that is why artha and kama are the pursuits of human life. That is why Vyasa is telling, Urdhva bahur viraumyesha nacha kaschid shrunoti me dharmad arthasya kamasya sa kimartham na nishevyate. See, I am crying with both my hands lifted up. Urdhva bahur viraumi yesha. Nacha kaschid, no, still nobody is listening to me. See, only through dharma you will get your artha and kama. But then why people are not following dharma? They are forsaking dharma and running behind artha and kama. So kama jaya is the critical point, the turning point, this virakti. So where there is no vairagya and mumukshatvam, there is this moksha will not grow. Shankaracharya says in Viveka Chudamani, Etayor bhana matrata. It is only an external thing, that it will not sustain. So Viveka and Vairagya are necessary. Viveka is understanding that kama is in the mind, not in the object. And that how many ever objects we indulge in, the kama is not. Yes, I will share this presentation. I'm still refining it, but whatever is done, I will share today, and then tomorrow, the final session with some additional charts, I will explain. So you need arogya to be able to pursue your kama, basically kama. There are two types of sukham, kama sukham and moksha sukham. So first you have to grow above the kama sukha. When kama is no longer an option, because we say in the sukha with kama is not long lasting. Because we know that the sukha is not in the object. See, up to the point I get that object, I am feeling happy. I mean, I have that intensity. The moment I get the object, after a little while, I might even hate that object. Then my attention shifts to another object. So actually the sukha comes from thoughtlessness in the mind. When that object of desire is in your hand, for some time our mind is thoughtless because there is no desire for a little while. So that is how yoga was discovered. By analyzing the psychology of karma, they yogis discovered that chittavritti nirodha. If I can stop my thoughts without having to lean on an external object, then I can be always happy. I don't need an object of your desire is only suppressing your thoughts temporarily. So the elimination of thoughts is actually the basis of happiness. Yogas chittavritti nirodha tada drishtu swarupe avasthanam. But today we are addicted. We need an object to stop our thoughts. That is karma. When we don't need an external object to stop our thoughts, it becomes yoga. And for that, we need arogya to learn this. Without damaging ourselves, we have to learn this lesson. And then the real life starts, the spiritual life. And that is the purpose of Ayurveda. Dharmartha kama mokshanam arogya moolam uttamam. Tasmad arogya danena dattam syad tat chatushtayam. Yes, for both we need good health. So cultivate health and use that health to overcome your karma by controlling it with dharma. And once you reach the stage of nishkamatvam, you can eventually evolve to naishkarmyam and then to apavarga. This is all described in the Sharirasthana. Purusha Vichayam Shariram describes the whole concept of apavarga in Charaka and from an Ayurvedic perspective. So with that, let us conclude for today. We'll complete this course tomorrow. Namaste.
Sir, namaste.
स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. रामकृष्णाय ते नमः.